Shabbat Shalom. Parshat Tetzaveh gives us enormous detail concerning the clothing worn by the high priest and by the other Kohanim. And included in the clothing of the high priest was the choshen, the breastplate, which contained stones representing the 12 tribes of Israel. And the Torah tells us that folded into the choshen were the Urim Vetumim, these mysterious, oracular devices for divining God's will in enormously important questions and situations. Not much is really known about the Urim Vetumim. Much is left to speculation. Urim perhaps comes from the word or, which means light. Tumim perhaps from tamim, which means pure and unblemished. The Latin translation, the Vulgate, translates Urim and Tumim to mean light and truth, which is why emblazoned on the symbols of a number of universities, most particularly Yale University, are the Urim and Tumim. The Urim and Tumim were consulted whenever clarity was needed about God's will. When the Kohen Gadol was approached, he would be able to reach into the choshen and remove either the Urim or the Tumim or both. It's not really clear what the procedure was, and God's will would then be known. And it seems to me that the most important thing that remains from the symbol of the Urim and Tumim, which incidentally disappeared probably many years before the destruction of the temple in 586 before the Common Era at the hands of the Babylonians. The greatest symbol of it is that without the Urim and Tumim, no one can lay claim to absolute certainty as to God's will. And I want to suggest that whenever I hear someone speak with what I call the tyranny of certainty, that they know beyond a shadow of doubt what God demands and what God wills for his creatures, I shudder, because the harsh reality is that even with centuries of tradition, even with rabbis and priests and prophets suggesting what is God's will and attempting to clarify God's mind, even with all of that, with that great guidance, no one can speak with absolute certainty as to what the truth is. And so while I might believe with all the fiber of my being and with great passion that I hold the truth, humility must lead me to believe that I don't hold the entire truth. And perhaps you, even you, are in possession of a truth that eludes me. The absence of the Urim and Tumim perhaps is greater than their presence, even in the choshen, the breastplate of the high priest. Shabbat Shalom, and may you have a Zis and Shabbos.